We'll handle supplemental funding requests as they come in, but right now they're still trying.
At least 68 people confirmed dead and 27 children from Camp Mystic still missing. Here's the latest on the flash floods in Texas as of July 6th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. Authorities are continuing search and rescue efforts as the statewide death toll from the devastating Texas flash floods continues to rise, with 68 people confirmed dead so far. The majority of victims were found in Kerrville, which faced the most significant impact from the floods caused by the Guadalupe River, with rescue teams bringing over 850 people to safety since the floods began overnight Friday. As floodwaters continue to recede across the state, an increasing amount of damage and victims are being revealed in the storm's aftermath. Among the reported casualties were 4 children who had gone missing from Camp Mystic, all young girls under the age of 10. A total of 27 campers remain missing as of Sunday morning. Texas Governor Greg Abbott visited the Christian summer camp, stating that he has directed all state agencies to prioritize life-saving efforts as they vigilantly search for the girls who were swept out of their cabins by the floods.
Rest assured, no one knew this kind of flood was coming. We have floods all the time. This is the most dangerous river valley in the United States. And we deal with floods on a regular basis. When it rains, we get water. We had no reason to believe that this was going to be anything like what's happening. None whatsoever.
Look at your own forecast, and the amount of rain that fell in this specific location was never in any of those forecasts.
20% reduction in weather balloon releases, launches, that carry those radio signs. And what we're starting to see is that the quality of the forecast is being degraded.
This rain event sat on top of that and dumped more rain than what was forecasted on both of those groups.
Includes severe cuts, additional cuts to NOAA, which would shutter all the national labs. I'm talking about the National Severe Storms Laboratory over in Oklahoma. They've improved our ability to warn people.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another edition of Let It Be Known. I am your host, and we seeing some devastation in Texas.
Peace and love, everybody. I'm your co-host, Niele Anderson, and we have a lot of news to get through. We have headlines coming out of Tennessee. There's a new racist group that's on the rise. We have recalls happening. Black family reunion is on the decline, Stacy, and there's some recalls we have to let the family know about. But first, Texas is on our mind.
And the bottom line with Texas, crucial positions at the local offices of the National Weather Service were unfilled. They were not, no one was there on the job because, of course, Donald Trump and Elon Musk at the beginning of the year decided to fire all of them. And they were told constantly that you're not going to be able to get ahead of disasters just like this. Now, at least 80 people are dead. They're still looking for many of those missing girls that you heard in the opening. There are at least 27 of them. And you got still Trumpers in Texas saying, well, you know, it wasn't in the forecast. Well, no stuff, Sherlock. Of course it wasn't in the forecast because there's no one to forecast these things. And not only did they cut the National Weather Service, they made sure to, and you can go back and look at all the articles we've done, all the articles mainstream has done. Not only did they cut personnel, they cut all these particular positions. Folks, these experts, these scientists who can predict when such weather is coming.
Yeah, it's so many heartbreaking stories that came out of Texas over the weekend. And of course, one of the good things about TikTok is you get to see things happening in real time. You saw people going live. I watched this one video of this lady, and her father was she was taking care of her father in hospice care, and the water was like at the base of his mattress. And she showed us outside and how that river had flooded. The Guadalupe River had flooded just like that. And I think that's, a warning to all of us. We know that the Trump administration has rolled back money from climate justice, climate change. And all these are products of global warming. And so it happened so fast. It made me think of like my grandmother, who's 95, who's at her house by herself. That flood came so fast that you're not going to be able to do anything in instances like that. And with no FEMA, no National Weather Service, and more things to come, things are getting scarier by the day.
They are getting scary by the day. There were images and video of women. These couple. It was two women in two different instances. At that, they was swept down a river, and they were able to cling to a tree to escape, basically escape being killed by the storm. But this is all the disasters that we are seeing are preventable. They could have been preventable.
Yes.
Loss of life could have been the minimum, if any. But if you go back to the first Trump presidency and COVID, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people lost their lives because of foolishness.
hmm And they say that this mystic camp is really a predominantly rich white camp. And it's really sad to say, but the it's horrific what's happening. And if you look at the demographic of Kerr County, a lot of those people voted for Trump. And it's sad that the person that they put their hope and their trust in decided that they weren't even worth it. They could have got a pre-warning if they would have had the National Weather Service. And, these are things that can be prevented. They could have got a warning ahead of time. But their
Yes.
leader, the person that they voted for, didn't think that their life was valuable enough. He preferred to have those dollars put back into his family or his pockets or his rich friends' pockets, cutting taxes for them. And then his constituents, the people that voted for him, they're not safe anymore. I hope they
No,
see that. I hope they see that. They're not
and
safe.
and as Mike V points out, the Paris Climate Change Agreement was the first item on the agenda. Trump removed the U.S. from back in January. And I remember then Biden and Obama both spoke out about that, how ridiculous that was to remove them from the climate agreement. Same thing. Listen, you can make a case the same thing with Iran. They had a deal with Iran under the previous administrations, and Trump ripped that deal up, and immediately what happened? So this country has not only been put in jeopardy health-wise and otherwise by this administration, but the world has been put in jeopardy.
hmm
USA, so many people are dying because and will die because of the decision to take away funding from USAID. It's just, it goes on and on and on.
Yeah, and the Republicans, like the speaker, well, they're in our prayers. I'm so sick of
Oh
them with these,
gosh,
the,
thoughts
the
and
the Bible
prayers.
said the Bible says faith without works is what? It's dead. So I mean, your prayers mean nothing at this point. Where are the resources? And God bless the firefighters, the ambulance workers, because they're the ones that are also putting their lives on the line, and their departments don't even have the resources their needs because it's cut, 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 cut. And
Yeah.
so we need more than prayers from the Republican Party. Has Donald Trump even said anything about this? I haven't heard. I haven't heard. I haven't seen anything. I saw him posting on Truth about Elon Musk,
Mm,
over
yeah.
the weekend, but I haven't heard anything about this from here. I might have
The
missed it, but I haven't heard it.
The Obamas released a statement, you brought this to mind when you talked about the firefighters, et cetera, praising the first responders. And that is something that this administration back in 2017 and this administration now back, they just don't make a habit of doing at all. Um, when will the first responders, the police, the firefighters, the emergency folks realize that
hmm
this administration has
hmm
no love for them either? And Dr. Nicole says that this is very sad and pathetic because after hundreds of thousands died unnecessarily during COVID due to Trump's lack of leadership, they still voted him back in. They will never learn. It is a genuine
Yeah, for sure.
cult. It is, and I watch folks online, and I hate to say it, but black and brown folks, they had something at the White House, and where for July 4th, and
Oh, the signing.
they,
It was the signing
the
of the
signing,
bill, of
yeah,
the
and I just
big,
thought,
ugly bullshit bill.
yeah,
Mhm.
and to have, I don't care where you're from, what party you're with, but to celebrate that, especially if you are a person of color, it's so repulsive because it aims to decimate people of color, your people. Um, you could, again, if you want to support the man, if you want to vote for him, that's your right. But you got to. What kills me is you never call, the people don't like calling out what's wrong, what's bad, and then you get a Tim Scott. Ah, Tim Scott is not even worth the salt, the dust that he was made from. My gosh, it's
Yeah.
horrible that you have people like that, especially in leadership positions. It's absolutely disgusting. Um, we talked about gatekeeping and stuff, but it's a major problem when it's politics. Entertainers or whatever, okay, it's not, it doesn't really affect your life. But this stuff affects everyone's life. And this is life and death stuff. And you got folks running interference for this guy. There's no way, no way. I don't care what paycheck you're getting. How do you stand by and how do you sleep when millions of people are going to die because of this administration?
Yeah.
The
11
dude talked about
campers.
putting people in slavery, selling people. He talked about selling people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's sad. We definitely want to keep Texas in our prayers. 11 campers are among the 41 people that are missing, 28 kids among nearly 81 killed. And the numbers keep climbing. So we'll definitely keep you updated with that story.
Yep, and we switch gears to the Essence Fest. I know y'all been dying to talk about the Essence Fest, right? No, you haven't. It was a
Right.
disaster. It was a complete disaster with lower ticket sales and vendors opting out because of the backlash for continued partnership with Target. The Essence Festival's Instagram account explained that they had to include Target. Target because they have a contract with Target. That's what they went on their website to say. They said, "quote Now that's settled. Let's talk about Target." This is what one fan had put on their site, and then addressing that fan, the Essence Festival commented that, "quote Let's discuss for sure. We are on a multi-year sponsorship with Target, so we fully understand how it looks. Just wanting to speak to the contractual agreement." So, in other words, Essence is saying, "Hey, we have a deal with them. It's multi-year, and so we are going to honor that commitment with Target." But people wasn't happy. But they also, Niele, didn't seem to have a problem going to get that Target swag, though.
Well, I'm not sure that just because Target was there, many black people, rushed to get the swag. Just because you are there doesn't mean that we have to react to it. A lot of people were still boycotting Target. I mean, just because they was there didn't mean you had to partake. But I think that it wasn't just Target why turnout was low. You have people afraid to fly right now. You have inflation. People don't know what is going to happen out of this volatile administration. Carolyn Wanga, who is the CEO, she's been out on leave, so you didn't have a leader. And Noonie Donovan, who is the former VP of Essence Ventures, she left Essence earlier this year. She was also one of the producers for 106 in Park, so she was doing BET Experience. She was actually at the festival this weekend, kind of giving us commentary. But I think there were a lot of things. The concert started extremely late. For once, as we talked about, Lauryn Hill was late, but it wasn't her fault. She didn't go on till like 3 o'clock in the morning. So there was like a snowball effect to what was happening at Essence that I think was bigger than Target. I just think that the organization of the festival mixed with this Trump administration inflation, it just made the perfect storm for this year's festival to have low turnout.
And just wanted to quickly throw this in about Target. Kai Cenat and someone else was under fire. They did a sleepover at a Target store, um, promoting something there, and I saw a little bit of it, and I was like, okay, what are these folks doing?
Well, I mean, that's the bigger story. I think well, I don't think I know. Kai Cenat is a bigger story than the Essence Fest because, like I said, just because Target sponsored it, don't mean that the mature aunties and uncles are gonna, support Target. But Kai Cenat, who has the pulse of millennials and Gen Zers, did a stream over the weekend, a 24-hour stream. Kai Cenat is the biggest streamer in the world, and AMP, which are his buddies. You have Duke Dennison, you have Phantom. They're staying in Tony Parker's house this summer, and $30 million mansion. And so they decided to stream because they have product in Target. The name of their product is called Tone. It's the personal care brand from the 6 streamers. And they started back in February, and they had like a 7-figure sales deal. So this isn't just a sleepover. They have product in Target. And so I think this is where the elders need to pull him, because he had, this is what I'm worried about. If this is successful for Target, if Target and Kai Cenat is able to turn the tide for them, guess what? Other brands are going to forget about the power of civil rights and things, and they're just going to start going to the younger streamers and the influencers.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't tell me that he does not know about the boycott. He does not know about what is going on with Target. Um, you mentioned it's called Tone. Well, this is Tone Deaf, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and and trust me, he had millions. AMP, which is the group he's a part of, they were all there.
Okay.
Millions of views. I mean, because they were live. And we watched Kai Cenat. He had his Streamers University, millions of followers, millions of people viewed. I viewed. He had his marathon over the Christmas break with Kevin Hart. And I mean, everybody showed up. LeBron James's kids, Chris Brown. So he has the pulse. And so I think that we should be paying attention of how this right here impacts Target, because if it does, Target is on to a different type of marketing, which could impact a lot of us that are at the forefront of the boycott, like the Jamal Bryants, the Black Press, because they're going to start using influencers and focus on millennials and Gen Zers.
Yeah, well, it's like I've been saying it, and again, if this is not a moment where everybody feels like, you know what, this is a time to come together, everybody needs to be together, it'll never be a moment. It'll never be a moment when that realization becomes when that saying becomes a reality, when that hope becomes we will never realize that. And that's unfortunate, because you figure when things get really bad, when we are backed into the corner as a people the way we are, we coming together, and then we gonna come out fighting. But you got this camp, that camp, this camp. I'm a little surprised, not totally surprised. I'm a little surprised at the division still that we are seeing.
Yeah, I see Nicole McDaniel is saying Kai also risks major backlash from community, as well as he should. Yeah, he should. But I think that, this is more of a generational conversation that we need to have, intergenerational conversation, because we get it. But these millennial and Gen Zers, they might not have the passion that we have because we're more connected to the past than they are. And we really should be paying attention to how people respond, the millennials and Gen Zers respond to Target and what Kai Cenat and those guys are doing, because they're millionaires. Kai Cenat is like, if you want to know what the American dream looks like, Look at that little boy story.
The little boy story.
That's nephew. Look
That
at
little
nephew's
boy.
story. Look at nephew's story. Look at nephew's story.
Well, he acting like a little boy right now, right? So whatever.
I mean, but that's what everybody loves about them. It's the childlike
Is that
pranks.
it? I
It's
don't
the
watch this stuff.
shenanigans.
I don't pay, you know,
Oh my
it's
God,
just
they're
not my
hilarious.
bag right there. It's that whole streaming stuff. I don't understand it. I don't know why they making all this money. But I mean, I'm not hating the fact that they're making the money. I just don't know why they're making the money. I don't understand it. So
And I think we should be mad at Target for trying to divide us. Like they're trying all angles. Okay, Essence Fest didn't go too well. Well, let's try the streamers. Instead of just respecting what Black people are saying to them, you know, put back the DEI. Understand where instead of them doing that, they want to like split us. And that should make us more mad than anything as to how they're moving in our community. You know, disregarding how we feel, disregarding what we're demanding of them, which is only fair and equitable. And they're just trying to, okay, if we can't get the Black people this way, we're going to go around this corner and get them that way. You know, and that's the issue. You know, somebody needs to cuss that president out for this. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing?
Don't folks understand that? You know, should they should understand that, right? That whole divide and conquer. I mean, we've always gone through that.
You know, that's ridiculous. You know, you didn't get it from you didn't hear what you wanted to hear from the CBC. You didn't want to hear what you wanted to hear from Jamal Bryant, you know, and so now you're going to go this way, you're going to go that way instead of respecting what we're saying. We just want fairness and our equitable share.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know,
and not just $300,000 that they did with the
oh yeah, that's you know,
convention.
I just, you know. But we're going to talk more about this because Target, we're going to keep talking about your ass.
Listen, it's early Monday morning and she in rare form already. She's in mid-season form in spring training. Folks, while mainstream media harps on urban chaos, Black mayors nationwide are delivering record drops in violent crime with very little recognition. For instance, in Baltimore, Mayor Brandon Scott cut homicides 22% and juvenile killings 71%. Mm-hmm. Down south in Birmingham, Alabama, Mayor Randall Woodfin oversaw a 52% drop in homicides and an 80% clearance rate. And even up in New York, I mean, you know, Eric Adams is who he is, but New York has seen shootings fall 24% and murders decline 14% this year. And Niele, your girl out there in Los Angeles, Mayor Karen Bass, has achieved a 14% drop in homicides and nearly 45% fewer gang killings. And over in Chicago, well, Mayor Brandon Johnson cut murders by 22% and shootings 31%. And finally, down south again in Atlanta, Andre Dickens reported violent crime down 16%. And here's the thing. If these mayors were white Republicans, their historic progress would lead every national broadcast.
For sure. I just, you know, this is the hope of our nation right now, Black leadership on state and municipal levels. Talk about this all the time. In all of this Trump Klan administration chaos, it is the state and local legislators. And we have a lot of African Americans that are in these positions that are continuing to do the work of their constituents. They're continuing to serve their communities, and they're continuing to advocate and fight against this Trump Klan administration. And I think, you know, as we fight, there's still day-to-day things that are happening in our community that go beyond Trump and what they're doing. And these individuals are focused, and they care about their communities that they're from. And so this is the hope that we need, Stacy.
Yeah, it is. And real quick, folks, just not to jump around, but real quick, You may have missed the chaos erupted at an ICE detention facility in Portland after hundreds of Portland, Oregon, after hundreds of protesters attempted to storm holding cells. Demonstrators were seen being tackled to the ground as officers deployed smoke bombs and tear gas to try and control the crowd. Dramatic footage was posted on X by an independent journalist, and it shows flares lighting up the night sky. The demonstration occurred on the 28th day that protesters have been occupying the ICE facility in protest over Trump's immigration policies.
Yeah, it's so much, but like I say, it's the local and state levels that are making sure that these detention centers are, decent. Even if they can't get in, by them raising the red flag, it's letting the community know. And we also just found out that Alligator Alcatraz 2.0, the second migrant detention center planned in Florida, the Florida Everglades, is in the making. State officials said construction on the newly facility could begin as soon as this week. And our guest right now, Florida lawmaker Angie Nixon, is there. She represents District 13, and she's fighting for affordable housing, strong public schools, fair wages, quality of health care, and she is on the front line with this Alligator Alcatraz. Welcome to Let It Be Known, Representative Nixon.
Hi, thanks for having me.
No, thanks for being here. We see you working now in the field. You actually last week you made major headlines because you actually went to Alligator Alcatraz. We want you to set the tone for us for everybody to know why people should be concerned about this particular detention center.
So people should be concerned about this makeshift internment camp that is taking 450 million taxpayer dollars instead of ensuring that we have supplies for our public school teachers. I'm not sure if y'all know, but like on social media, teachers are right now getting ready to go back to school and they're begging for school supplies, right? Instead of ensuring that we have access to affordable housing, they're using 450 million taxpayer dollars to throw up a makeshift internment camp, concentration camp, detention center, whatever you want to call it. And they're doing it with very little transparency. Not only that, but they're doing it with no bid contracts that actually are being awarded to Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis' campaign donors. And so we've recently, me and a few of my colleagues have had communication with some of the family members of detainees down in Alligator Alcatraz, and they said it's basically horrible. Like the conditions are horrible. They've barely had any food. Some of the restrooms have not been operational. They basically put them on they. I was told they only get to use the restroom like at certain times. And it's just abysmal. And if you witnessed when they rolled out the red carpet for Donald Trump and conservative news outlets, it was already starting to flood. And so they are located in a flood zone, right? It is hurricane season and they're surrounded by alligators. And we literally saw alligators. And not only are there alligators there, but there are mosquitoes that are humongous, to the point where like when we got there, we rolled down the window first when we were trying to talk to each other, and like they immediately started attacking us. And mosquitoes carry viruses sometimes.
Yes.
And so like it's just ridiculous. And we should also be concerned because yet again, Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump don't like following the law. And so we as state lawmakers in the state of Florida have the opportunity to go in unannounced at any state ran or municipal ran, county ran detention center, and they would not allow us in. There's 2 state statutes that outline this. And
Mm-hmm.
so they broke the law. And there are some people that are saying, "Oh, this is a federal detention center," and no, that's not the case. There was a statement that was issued by the Department of Homeland Security letting folks know that the state of Florida, Ron DeSantis, decided to do this on his own. He had not consulted with them. He had not requested reimbursement for money or any of that. So it is in fact a state ran detention center. And so
Mm.
this just it's a slap in the face, especially for taxpayers. We should also just be concerned on a humanitarian level. What type of country are we when we're okay with denying folks access to due process, denying folks access to adequate food and shelter and water, even if they are being detained?
Mm-hmm.
As Dr. Nicole writes, Florida Rep Angie Nixon, this sounds like a place where someone with 34 felony convictions should be. But we, but, but we are obviously, because a guy named Merrick Garland, that didn't happen. But nonetheless, what is tell us about it. So this detention center, how long does a detainee do you what are they, how long are they supposed to be there?
So
We don't know.
we don't know. We don't
Mm,
know. And we actually spoke with an attorney for one of the detainees yesterday, and he said nothing like this has ever been done. He said there's no phone number for them to call. There's no email address for them to call to talk to their clients. They don't even know which court has jurisdiction over Alligator Alcatraz. He said they literally, like, this has never been done. This is setting a new precedent. And like, they're using our money. And I just want to, I want to level set with folks. A
Please
few
do.
days before Ron DeSantis issued out his veto list, he vetoed appropriations for first responders to have access to mental health services. He vetoed appropriations for mental health services for just like a ton of community members all across the state. He vetoed infrastructure projects. He vetoed money for public schools. He vetoed money for just overall improvement of quality of life for residents across the state of Florida. But yet and still, he found $450 million of our taxpayer money to throw up a raggedy ass tent, a makeshift tent. Like, these are tents. It
Right.
ain't brick and mortar. These are tents that are flooding. And so, honestly, I feel like someone profited $300 million because
oh
it's
yeah. Oh yeah.
ridiculous.
Right. So I have two questions. One is, do they have air? And then I want you to talk about, somebody just posted, the Mexicans don't care about our issues. Stay away, stay out of it. I want you to speak to that. But first, do they have air?
So we don't know. They claim they do, but they wouldn't allow us to go in. And, you know, we don't know. There's a lack of transparency. And in regards to that person stating that Mexicans don't care about us, like, that's that divide and conquer strategy. No one's free until we're all free. Let's be clear. At the end of the day, what we're witnessing here in our country and really all across the world is that there are folks who are in power right now that are so afraid that they're no longer going to be the majority, and they're trying to pass laws and do things to Black and brown people, and you know, to keep us oppressed, to keep us in check, right? And so we have to come together and push back. At the end of the day, this is all about power and control, and people wanting to have a lot of money, and like, we all have to work together, right? They're attacking Black people just like they're attacking brown people, just like they're, you know, attacking the Palestinian folks, like all the things. And if we come together, like, we can win, right? And so I get so frustrated when folks say things like that. And at the end of the day, like, I don't care what color you are, like, you deserve the opportunity to live healthy, prosperous, and safe. We all deserve the opportunity to experience joy. And if we come together, we can push back against those who are trying to actively like oppress us and keep us down, and keep the wealth gap like at an all-time high, right? And so, you know, the Black Panther Party they realized that we needed a multiracial working class. And so we need that now more than ever.
Representative Nixon, I ask this question a lot, but you guys in Florida, you've experienced it in a manner that the nation is now experiencing it with Trump. You've experienced it with DeSantis. DeSantis, like you said, he's like Trump, doesn't want to obey laws. I mean, this guy removed a judge who was elected. How do you do that? But across the aisle, is there anybody across the on the other side of the aisle who has some sort of humanity? It doesn't seem like it in the U.S. Congress. Is there anybody in Florida on the other side of the aisle that you and others can talk to that you know has some sort of humanity and say, I'm
So,
with
you
you?
know, I would say you see glimmers of hope at times, but collectively, like the other side oftentimes stays together, right? And so, and let's be clear, right? Like I am a Democrat, but there's some issues in my party as
Oh,
well.
without question,
And
yeah.
so, like, it is really important for folks to realize that the people need to come together and like organize and get rid of Democrats and Republicans that aren't working for them, right?
Right.
I'm totally not against like unseating incumbents. I unseated an incumbent, right? Like I ran against a Democratic incumbent. And so we need more people. We need more regular, everyday, working class folks to run for office, right? Like, and we can get out of this, but it's gonna take us getting organized. It's gonna take us like doing the hard work. And listen, I understand, that 92%, right? Like we doing our boots on the ground, we kicking it at our trail rides and all that stuff. But like we really gotta get our boots on the ground now, like not just dancing wise, because it's easier for us on the front end to do the work than have to clean up everybody's mess. So, I mean, while it's summertime, get your rest on, y'all, but like we need to get to work so that we can take back our country, really, because at the end of the day, like this type of stuff has happened before. Like history is basically repeating itself. And Dr. Snyder, who wrote the book on tyranny, he said, like, basically, you do not obey in advance. And we can't obey in advance because what
We're
we're
seeing too
witnessing,
much of that, aren't we?
what we're witnessing right now is like the rise of fascism and authoritarianism. It's like you turn your back, you turn your back to this, like, and it's a slippery slope. And it's
Right.
gonna continue to get worse unless we stop and push back against it. And also I just want to speak to that point again, like of the guy who was talking about Mexicans. Like, let's be clear. Their TPS status for Haitians was just like ended, right? And
Right.
so those are Black people, right? And at the end of the day, like the diaspora, like we gotta be all together, because just because somebody got off the boat, somebody's family members got off the boat before us, like we all need to stick together. And so they're going to be members of the African diaspora who are going to be sent to Alligator Alcatraz. But at the end of the day, like I said, it doesn't matter if you're Black, if you're white, if you're brown, if you're Asian, if you're indigenous. Like we all need to look out for each other, especially when we're pushing back against folks in power who want to just keep us down.
Right. Another thing that's happening that Florida is setting the precedent on is elections. We know that I think it was last week or week before last that the mayor of Miami decided to say we're not going to have an election this year. We're just going to push it back to next year. We know that Donald Trump does not want another election. We know there are talks about there not being a 2026 election. What is happening in Florida, and what are people saying about them just getting rid of the election this year?
Oh, they're pissed down south. So from what I've seen, like on social media, and from what I've heard in conversations with some folks that I know that live down there, they're really upset, and so they're working to get more organized. And so, also, what recently happened during this legislative session, you know, we had a remedy for when our legislators would not listen to us. We would be able to pass policy through citizen-led ballot initiatives. And unfortunately, like they did in fact make that harder this year. And it went into effect where, in essence, like they are basically handicapping folks from being able to get citizen-led ballot initiatives on the ballot. And so this is a concerted effort to basically end democracy as we know it, and to keep those people in power. And so, like, that's why I get so frustrated when folks are like, oh, there's no point in me voting. There's no, like, they spend billions of dollars on us to suppress our votes. And like, our vote is our power, but even more than that, we got to hold people accountable. And so, like, we need your direct actions. We need people organizing and demanding that these elected officials come to the communities and have town halls. And we need all of that. We need your Malcolms. We need your Martins. We need your Fannie Lou Hamers. But, like, we need people to get to work, right? And then also, like, folks need to realize, okay, you can't go out. You can't knock doors. Maybe you're good at social media, but also, like, we got to get off social media as well, because some of the revolution ain't gonna be televised. Like, let's be real. But, like, so we need whatever it is, whatever skill set that you have, you can offer that to this fight to push back. And so it's gonna be all hands on deck. But, like, folks are really pissed about them, like, ending, pushing back that election. People are upset that they took away, well, they made it super hard for us to push citizen-led ballot initiatives. And so I think that there's going to be a shift come 2026. But again, it needs to be all hands on deck.
And Representative Nixon, with what you're saying about what needs to be done and what people need to come together, are you seeing anything that inspires hope that will happen?
Yeah, I am. And so, like, I want to say, the 50-51 stuff is looking great. That's starting to radicalize some folks that, especially don't have melanin like ourselves. Like, they're starting to wake up a little bit more, and wanting to not just be allies, like accomplices in this fight, right? I would also say, the young folks, like what happened in New York City, with Zoran, right? So it's so cool. Like, I'm in a chat with him. And so, like, that's what we need more of. It should not be radical to want to ensure that every child that's born has diapers and access to milk, right? It shouldn't be radical that folks have access to quality transportation to get to and from a job. It shouldn't be radical to want folks to have access to healthcare whether or not they're working. And
Right.
so those are the type of policies that we need. And it won't bankrupt our country or bankrupt our cities if they're able to put up $450 million makeshift internment camps. They can definitely ensure that our teachers get quality salaries, so they don't have to
Right.
work 2 and 3 jobs. Or they can definitely ensure that folks have access to housing, or even just different type of, like, social security benefits, the things that people need to sustain this failing economy right now.
I mean, so much conversation. That's why we always talk about how state and local politics are sometimes more critical than what's happening at the federal government, because you have the opportunity to make things better in your community right on set. Before we let you go, do you have any more plans to go back to Alligator Alcatraz? And what will happen, or the impact that will happen, because it's hurricane season, when we see what happened in Texas, what could happen?
Yeah, so it is definitely hurricane season, and down in the Everglades during Hurricane Andrew, I believe over 70,000, I believe over 70,000 acres had gotten destroyed.
Ooh.
And we see rising water. So it could be devastating, right? And especially if they don't have a safety plan, an evacuation plan, or laid out for those detainees. And in regards to returning to Alligator Alcatraz, that is the goal. We are hearing rumblings that they are opening up the facility for scheduled tours. Let me be clear. The state law says that we are allowed to go unannounced to these facilities. I don't want a sanitized tour. I want to see what is actually happening. I don't want them to clean up the mess. I want to see what's going on. I want to hear from those detainees, because I'm pretty sure they've been treating them like shit. Like, frankly, I'm sorry, I don't know if I can cuss
Yeah,
on
you
here. I
can.
apologize.
They make you cuss.
She
They make
does.
they make us cuss. Okay.
And like I want to shine a light on how ridiculous, how harmful that the Republican led administration here in the state of Florida is. And it's not right. And if they're gonna do that to them, what's gonna stop them from doing that to US citizens? Like, there's a slippery slope. And again, ICE is going around kidnapping people without even showing like their identification.
Right.
Who's to say they don't kidnap someone who was born in this country?
Right.
So that's why I'm concerned. It's to the gentleman who said the ish thing about, the Mexican folks. Like if they do that to one marginalized group, they'll definitely do that to us. And not only that, like, let's think about it. Alligator Alcatraz, alligators as a descendant of enslaved people
Come on.
down in the South, they fed some of my ancestors who were babies or disabled to alligators. So I take issue with what they got going on down South. And now they're trying to move the same thing up to Camp Blanding in my backyard in Clay County. Again, if they come for one of us, they need to come for all of us, and we need to like come together and push back. So I don't care what race you are. Like, if you're being oppressed, if you're being treated inhumanely and unfairly, like, I'm gonna stand up and speak for you, because I would want someone to do that for me. And even if they don't do that for me, like, my ancestors are gonna look out for me, because I'm looking out for the folks that are being oppressed. Period.
Wow. We would love for you, Representative Nixon, to give us some updates, some pretty regular updates, perhaps even monthly, if you don't mind, because this is so
Yeah,
important.
for sure.
For sure.
I would love
For
to.
sure. For
I would
sure.
love to. And I would love everyone to reach out. Visit FloridaForAll.vote. I am the executive director of a statewide progressive coalition called Florida for All. FloridaForAll.vote. They can get updated about all the things that we're doing collectively with Black and brown and marginalized communities. And so please visit us today.
Yeah, and I'm sure you have motivated a lot of us 92 percenters to do more than the fans. We're gonna get our boots on the ground, sis. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'll
And,
check
and
back in.
drive safely now.
And
All right.
feel free to reach out to us too when you need to get the word out. Okay,
For
it's not
sure.
just when we ask you, but ask us too.
Oh, I will take you up on that. I am an organizer, not just an elected official. So y'all gonna be hearing from me.
All right, peace and
Right.
love.
Take
Bye.
Peace
care.
and love.
Yeah,
That's
that
the
was
hope. That's the hope. Local politics, state and local politics are how we're going to get through this. But speaking of that, let's move to Tennessee, Stacy, where Tennessee has officially banned landlords from renting to undocumented immigrants. Now, supporters claim the new bill will deter undocumented immigrants and ease the strain on the housing market. But the ACLU argues it could lead to discrimination, displacing families, and violating federal housing laws.
Mm.
You know,
Uh,
yeah. So they're pushing the line. They're pushing the line
yeah.
in Florida, detention centers in Tennessee. They're taking away housing. And moving on, a major all-white racist men's club is spreading across the US. Now they're called the Old Glory Club and have at least 26 chapters with participants including military personnel, lawyers, and civil servants. Maybe Ron
Mm.
DeSantis. Now the alarms are ringing because of their political and military connection.
Oh gosh, yeah. What else can you say? This is where we at, and we keep saying if you're not gonna come together now, it's a wrap.
Yeah, they're organized, and they've been getting organized. And I just always yesterday I was thinking about when we got Obama elected the first time, we dropped the ball because we could have been just as solid. But once we got him in, we stopped participating. We're like, we have arrived. Meanwhile, the white Klan was like, Project 2026. We got to get these Negroes in check. And the brown, they growing too fast. It's too many. We getting outnumbered. We need to get the order back. We need to double down on our systemic racist practices. And we're going to do this through this project called Project 2026. Okay. And so now they're in the military, they're elected, they're in the White House now, and they are really doubling down. And so we need to be aware of this because even when we think about ICE, 26 chapters, they're probably part of Homeland Security, Stacy.
Places, and somebody asked a question too that I didn't get a chance to ask our representative about ICE, but this idea that they are masked, you don't know who they are, and she kind of alluded to it, like they're kidnapping folks. It is just it was Orangey who asked, why doesn't ICE have an official uniform, and what are the credo to be an ICE agent? Those are legitimate questions.
It's probably the oath of the Klan.
Listen, it wouldn't surprise me if you unmask some of them and you find several of the January 6th participants.
Mm-hmm. For sure. So we're going to keep monitoring this new Klan organization because that's what it is. But because the FDA, moving along, because the FDA is not giving us recalls, it's up to
Yes.
the companies to tell us. So we'll start with Del Monte first. This isn't necessarily a recall, but the 139-year-old Canned Foods has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and it's citing the impact of Donald Trump's steel and aluminum tariffs as the reason for filing. Okay. All right. And so speaking of recalls, Kraft, Heinz is pulling over 300,000 pounds of turkey bacon that have been flagged with listeria contamination. The turkey bacon was produced between April 24th and June 11th, so check your wrappers, and it was distributed across the U.S. as well as the Virgin Islands and Hong Kong. And so once again, we should be very concerned about the food that we eat because this is a courtesy. But now companies don't have to give us that courtesy, and we don't have the FDA and all of those departments within their companies, okay, to make sure that they're reporting to the FDA. That's all gone. So now we're at the mercies of corporations to tell us if our food is good or bad. And not all of them are going to do this. Believe that. Some of them is just going to let us eat the contaminated meat and all that.
Yeah. It's profits over people all the time.
Yeah, and now let's come home a little bit, where research has found that Black family reunions have declined by 47% since 1997, and the main reason is due to elders passing away and unsolved family issues. I believe it.
Yeah, so that's what I wanted to ask you about this because I saw that posted, but there is absolutely no matter who's carrying that story, no link to any study or no link to anything official. It just I don't know who put that together. I was searching and searching high and low, even reading from that headline, and I'm just seeing a post like that, and then people commenting on social media. I would love to see the actual
You want to see the
study.
study? Well, we'll pull it up
Yeah.
for you. I believe
Oh,
it though.
you been able to see it
I have.
or you have?
I'll send it
Can you
to you.
send it? Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
And
That would
I
be great.
believe it too. I
Oh, I
believe it
believe it.
too.
It's not that I don't believe
Yeah.
it. I would love to do some digging into that and talk to people and get some, get a better idea of what's going on.
For sure, because just the elders, that they were able to hold it together. And
Yeah.
there was just a level of respect that happens. But the unresolved issues and family drama, yeah, it's in my family. I know.
Well, it's everybody's family, really. They got something. They got
hmm
everybody's family got something or someone that's going to be like kind of make it a little challenging for the rest. I mean, we had a great time. I was able to briefly attend my brother's. They had a whole weekend of celebration for his retirement. My oldest brother, and you get to see folks that you hadn't seen forever, family and friends
hmm
alike, and that was it was just a great time. And you see the value when family does get together like that.
Yeah, and the t-shirts and you hear family reunion, the song, and you before I let go and the bar uncles, playing dominoes, just all of that. And when I saw this, I thought about it and I'm like, I don't see the t-shirts and the pictures when you look at social media. You don't see that anymore like it used to be.
Like it used to be, right? You don't see it.
hmm
You're right about that.
You don't see it. But we got a couple more headlines to get through. Good story coming out of the music biz. The United Nations just adopted a human rights resolution by Jay-Z's founded Reform Alliance. That's his prison reform organization. And so this new resolution has been adopted in over 49 countries for prison reform, and an estimated 11.5 million incarcerated people worldwide will be helped by this
Mm,
venture. And,
wow.
s-
Okay.
and so when we think about like what is Jay-Z doing, or is he, there are many ways to contribute to this, systemic racist country, and what's happening globally. And I just think that there are tons of way to do it, and Jay-Z and of course his wife are finding ways to do that.
Oh, awesome.
And then last but not least, Universal Music Group has launched the Berry Gordy Music Industry Scholarships. And it's going to happen at UCLA's Herb Alpert School of Music to honor the Motown founder. And it expands on the 2024 creation of the Berry Gordy Music Industry Center and aligns with Universal Music Group's Sounds of the Future campaign to uplift Black creativity, equity, in music. Now I was like, okay, Universal, you didn't get rid of your DEI.
How
Go
cool is that?
Universal. Yeah.
Well, folks, we're gonna have to take off. Real quick though, check out RNG this Friday for his his swag show, because Football Media Day is next Tuesday. So I'll be anxious to hear some insights from RNG this coming Friday evening. Y'all check him out on YouTube, the RNG Swag Sports. We gotta run. We appreciate you all joining. Let it be known. It's a whole nother week, and we will see you again tomorrow.